Welcome to howQ by voquzlabs, a series of short, easy-to-watch videos explaining complex licensing topics in simple terms.
Hi, my name is Jan Cook. I'm Senior Advisor with voquzlabs, and in this video I'll be explaining pricing in SAP contracts. I'll be discussing the key software pricing models and components, as well as understanding the impact of these on the pricing and purchasing of different SAP products. First of all, we're going to take a look at SAP Contract Documents and which of these are relevant for pricing purposes. So we have your software license agreement, the SLA, acknowledgement to SLA and software use rights, which may be available online or documented as part of the contract, and many other types of contract documentation. Those relevant for pricing purposes would be order forms, exhibits and appendices, exchange agreements, termination letters, amendments, maintenance schedules, and support terms. Order forms themselves are of course one of the primary sources of pricing information within the contract. Each order form will have various different sections and information contained within. You of course have the licensed software and the database component if that's been purchased, and you'll have the main pricing components in there, which will be the license fee and payment and the maintenance fee and payment. Of course, the maintenance fees for the software licensed is linked to the net license fee payable for that software. Within an SAP order form itself, the net license fee is equal to the sum of all products licensed in the contract. Credits can of course reduce the net license fee payable, but that would not lower the maintenance base for those licensed products. The annual maintenance is then calculated as 22% of the respective maintenance base for each order form. There are other pricing documents that you won't find in your contract. For example, these include SAP's price lists for on-premise and cloud, SAP's lists of prices and conditions, and measurement documents relevant to the products being purchased. That should give customers additional information on what they're buying. There are of course multiple pricing components for every SAP product. You have SKU, which is also the material number and the year of product release, product name, metric, block quantities, price and currency, as well as other things like from and to units, pricing model, cumulative max price list, SAV, HSAV, and license remarks that give you further information about the pricing structures. There are multiple different pricing structures for SAP products. We have linear pricing, tiered pricing, and cumulative pricing. For linear pricing, you pay per unit, and the price per unit remains the same regardless of how many units you buy. Some linear products can also be sold in blocks of 1,000, for example, where the price per block remains the same regardless of how many blocks you buy. Tiered pricing, on the other hand, is a volume-based pricing model where the more you buy, the cheaper the per unit price. The per unit price depends on which volume tier your purchase falls within. Cumulative pricing is also a tier-based pricing model, however you pay the per unit price for each tier in full before moving up to the next pricing tier. The problem with tiered pricing is that you need to know the tiers themselves to understand how many units you should purchase. For example, buying just a little more might actually increase you to a higher tier and get you a lower per unit price. The impact of tiered pricing can be demonstrated as follows. In Model 1 we show the cumulative purchasing price where we have each respective tier, and the total for 25 units comes to 1.45 million. In Model 2 we have a tiered pricing structure where 25 units are sold at a single lower volume unit price and the total purchase price is 1.25 million. Simply by increasing the unit quantity by 1 up to 26 units, we qualify for a higher volume tier with a lower per unit price, and in actual fact 26 units turns out to be cheaper at $910,000. This can be further illustrated using the following diagram. It shows for a tiered pricing model the price based on the number of units purchased, with each peak in the graph representing a different volume tier. We can see that the price at the top of a lower volume tier is the same for more units at the lower end of a higher volume tier. This means that the optimal volume purchasing point for tiered price products will always be 1 unit beyond the limit of each tier, and the worst price points are always found at the limit of each volume tier itself. So let's take a closer look at tiered versus cumulative pricing. We're going to illustrate the purchase of an SAP product sold on a volume-based metric. Pricing tiers include to and from units. Pricing is going to reduce for each subsequent tier, and we're going to simulate the price of 510,000 units in both a tiered versus cumulative pricing structure. Here we can see the tiers on the left and the respective unit price for each tier. For cumulative pricing, the cost of 510,000 units is $207,000, paying the price point for each respective tier. With tiered pricing, the cost would be $102,000, where all 510,000 units are charged at the same lower per unit price you get with a higher volume tier. Interestingly, under tiered pricing, 291,500 units would cost exactly the same as 510,000 units, which shows that it's often worth exploring cheaper pricing points available at higher volume tiers. For SAP user license pricing, SAP's price list contains approximately 19 on-premise user license types and 4 different S/4HANA types. Prices show important variations from one license type to another. For example, the cost of one professional user license, you can get 5.33 retail user licenses or 8 employee user licenses. So the appropriate classification of users in the systems and the purchase of cheaper user license types can change the total contract cost by more than 30%. Some companies only have 3 different user types in their contracts, limiting their ability to optimize user licensing costs. Of course, we also have digital access licensing costs to consider, and pricing is currently dependent on SAP's digital access adoption program. Pricing is per document, which starts at €500 for 1,000 documents. One license is required for each document line item. Some documents are weighted at 1/5. Pricing is tiered, i.e. a volume discount model. Making an accurate document count is vital for pricing purposes, and buying at a slightly higher volume may result in a cheaper price. With SAP database pricing, i.e. SAP HANA, it depends on whether you're choosing runtime or full use. Runtime is for SAP applications only and is priced based on the SAV of the installed applications. For full use is for any software application and is priced on gigabyte of data consumed. Although it needs to be considered that there are variations in terms of the runtime and full use HANA database license. Runtime is far more limited, where HANA full use gives you much more capability in terms of what you can do with the database, so this needs to be considered before making a purchase. With SAP engines, there are 50 different engine metrics currently on SAP's price list. The price per unit for these engines can range from €3 per unit up to €3.4 million per unit. Metrics and pricing can change quarterly or annually depending on various different price list updates that may be issued by SAP, and you also have to consider that some of those products are automatically measured by SAP licensing tools, or some of those products will have to be self-assessed and declared manually. And measurement of those products is not always one-to-one. One single product metric can have 9 different measurements. Take sales and service order processing for example. There are 6 different types of sales and service order document that need to be measured for that one single product metric. Block quantities might also not be adequate. Some products, for example, are sold in 1 million blocks, others sold in blocks of 1 billion. Now, if for example your revenue is 2.9 billion a year, buying a product sold in blocks of 1 billion revenue would not be cost effective. So, a summary of key points covered, conclusions and recommendations. So always request an SAP price list as a contract attachment. You should be able to avail of the price list, and you should know the prices and pricing structures of all the products that you're buying from SAP. You have the right to know that, so always request the price list. Always request a copy of your use rights as a contractual attachment. In some cases, SAP will indicate you need to download that from online, but make sure you do, and always ask SAP if they'll supply you a physical copy of that. Request the measurement process for new metrics when buying additional products. It's always important you know how to count and measure the use and consumption of a product, so you know if you're within or out with your entitled level. Request contracts and appendices with line item pricing. It's no good just to have a list of 5 different SAP products with the aggregated total of those licensed products and then the respective maintenance-based calculations taken from there. You need line item pricing so you know the individual gross license fee and net license fee after discount for each individual product and how those prices have ultimately been calculated. Request explicit discount indication so that for future you know what discount should apply to subsequent purchases. Log your product purchases with SKU data purchase metrics and blocks to make sure you understand how you've bought products in the past, and don't admit to including special agreements in your contract. Email evidence simply isn't good enough. If you need help reviewing and understanding your SAP contracts, planning an SAP purchase, or reviewing a licensing proposal from SAP, then follow the link to our contact page to speak to one of our experts today. Or if you have any questions about this topic, feel free to reach out to me directly. My contact details will be displayed at the end of this video. Additionally, we offer a dedicated SAP contract review service. We provide you with a SWOT analysis, validated SAP bill of material, and benchmarking analysis, all of which include key pricing insights. Couple that with howQ licensing analysis, and our contract review service offers you with expert insights into reducing licensing risks, optimizing costs, and improving compliance. If you want to find out more about that service, you can go to www.voquzlabs.com/advisory. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more howQ video content coming soon.